The live action How to Train Your Dragon's here. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the live action version of How to Train Your Dragon, which is once again directed by DeBlois. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we have a live action adaptation of the popular / well-received 2010 animated version that is based off a book. This, of course, is a retelling of the first movie that tells the story of Hiccup, who's played by this time Mason Thames, who is a outcast, but he is the son of the chief of the Isle of Burke, and this time it's once again played by Gerard Butler, but in live action form. And he comes across a dragon called the Night Fury, who he befriends and is kind of his pet, is named Toothless. And also this Isle of Burke is very much against dragons. The dragons steal all their food, seem to want to kill them. And yeah, it's all about, them taking down the dragons and one of the characters becoming friends with the dragons. We, of course, have Astrid, who's the main lead, who, of course, is played by Nico Parker. And it basically, once again, has a remake status, a live action adaptation of this very popular, very famous franchise at this point. And it also has people like, Nick Frost and, Peter Serafinowicz and, of course, Julian Dennison as various characters. Once again, it is a retelling of the actual first movie, and it's form and fashion because DeBlois actually comes back as the director when he did the animated film. And yeah, it's a retelling of that story. So there you go. So if it weren't for Toy Story going off and doing 4 or 5 films, this to me is the best trilogy animated film series ever made. To be fairly honest, I think this is up there with Toy Story before Toy Story became a 5 series film franchise, as one of the most iconic and one of the most important animated film series of the last 25 years, to be fairly honest. I think I was very skeptical, and I remember being very skeptical when I saw it because DreamWorks is not a studio is known for quality, and to be fairly honest, they've had Shrek, which I liked the first 2 Shrek movies, to be fairly honest. But they have other stuff like Kung Fu Panda, which I think is perfectly good for what it's worth. But How to Train Your Dragon, with its score, with its direction, with its cast, with just what it was trying to do based off the book, it really is the best quote-unquote trilogy when it comes to animated films. Each film is better than the last. I think the other 2 films are really good, some of the best I've ever seen when it comes to animated fare. And to be safe and fair and honest, I had no interest in seeing this movie, to just kind of put it out there. This is a live action film of a franchise I really love. It's only 15 years old at this point. It really didn't need to happen. I mean, I don't feel as connected to Lilo and Stitch, so I get why they're doing that because, it's 25 years old at this point. I get it. It's fine. But this film, they're bringing back a story that has been done perfectly. I don't know. I didn't feel like this movie needed to be happening, and it's not against the people, starring in this movie because they're just doing what they're, cast to do. And the fact that they brought Gerard Butler seems kind of, promising. I had to lay that out there. It's just my honest feeling of what I felt like this movie was going to be. And there have been a couple of people who saw this, I think at CinemaCon, they showed the whole movie, and it was my worst fears that it was pretty much a retelling, a shot-by-shot remake, but a little bit longer of the story, adding in some, flourishes here and there. I was like, I'm going to review this movie. I love this franchise. I think it's, like I said, one of the best anime franchises of all time. And so for my honest review of this movie, this is probably one of the most unnecessary remakes in quite a while. I think this is entertaining. I think it's, well directed. I think it has a great cast who do what they need to do, but it doesn't add anything new. It doesn't do anything new. It's clearly there to make money because of, Epic Universe opening up with the How to Train Your Dragon Land. This feels like the kind of, kind of the spinoff to that. And I think this movie is so unnecessary and so by the paint by numbers book that it feels like one of the most disappointing things I've seen in quite a while, to be fairly honest. There is nothing new to add here. These beat by beats are exactly the same from the animated film. I think that what made that movie special was just kind of how it felt so cinematic and it felt so authentic and it felt so real. And, yes, it's fantastical with the dragons, but there was a level of heart in that. And it's what I see in Toy Story 4, and I'm worried about with Toy Story 5 because Toy Story franchise is one of my favorite of all time, is there is a lot of heart lost in that series, especially with the 4th film. that I'm not saying it's not bad, but you can tell there is a magic missing, that this movie truly, How to Train Your Dragon is truly on par with that. And you feel it with, like with Snow White, you felt it with like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. There's an unfortunate nature of this company needs to make money. How are they going to do that? How are they going to get butts in seats? The movie industry is falling apart. So what we're going to do is do another adaptation, a complete same adaptation of the original film that came out literally 15 years ago. And I don't think I would be as hard of it on it if it was like 50 years ago or something like that. But it feels like a cash grab, to be fairly honest. It feels like just a waste of time, a waste of energy, a waste of movie making experience, because it once again brings back John Powell, who is of course the composer who's done one of the greatest composing scores for an animated series. It brings back Gerard Butler playing the same exact character, doing exactly the same beats. I think Mason Thames and Nico Parker have good chemistry together, but that's because the script is pretty much the same script. So unless they are terrible actors, there's not really much they're not going to be able to do to add to it. Nick Frost is he's given a little bit of a different type of spin on his character, but the kids, all the kids are all the same. They act exactly the same. I do think this movie is too long. I think it should have just stayed at an hour and 35 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes. I think it adds a little bit of stuff with one of the kids' fathers, who's played by Peter Serafinowicz, that really feels just kind of like, oh my God, here's a father who hates his kid. And I don't know, I don't want to hate this movie. And I know it feels like I'm just like dogging on it to be dogging on its sake because I'm such a fan of the original animated series. And I get what they're doing here, but this is such an unnecessary thing to do. It feels like a thing that didn't need to happen, and it just feels like a cash grab. And I honestly can't recommend it on that point. It's going to do well. It's going to make a lot of money because this franchise is huge at this point. But if you're a huge fan of this franchise, if you're a huge fan of these movies, especially the animated movies, I don't recommend going to see it. I honestly don't. I think it's going to taint the fact that Universal is just going for your money, that they're not really worried about an interesting experience. If this had been like the fourth film, if they'd done a fourth film in the animated series, I think I would have been happier. It's the same thing they're doing with Moana, where Moana just had a sequel and now they're doing a live action adaptation. And it's like, you're not even trying it at this point. This is more me complaining about the simple fact that this is even a thing. The only thing I can say is it has the heart, it has the feel of How to Train Your Dragon, the original movie. It has the beats that you expect, but it's nothing more than that. It's shallow, it's hollow, it's just nothing that has not been done before in a much better version of this film. And once again, it drags a lot longer than it should. And therefore, whatever. It's How to Train Your Dragon. You'll go see it. I went to see it apparently so I could review it, but I'm not happy about I almost didn't even want to go see this movie because I knew this is how I feel. And yeah, like I said, it's definitely How to Train Your Dragon. It has all the beats of How to Train Your Dragon. Toothless is still cute and beautiful to look at. And, Mason Thames and Nico Parker are good as Astrid and Hiccup, but that's all I can say about this movie. So there you go. Anyways, that's my take on How to Train Your Dragon, the most unnecessary film to come out this year that isn't Snow White. So there you go. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my review of How to Train Your Dragon, the live action adaptation. Comments below. What did you think of the animated films? Are you looking forward to this version of How to Train Your Dragon? Let me know the why. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.